In 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Townsend Live program. I'm John Townsend, and glad you're here. This is an hour we spend from 2 to 3 Pacific every Wednesday that I'm around. I try to be around most Wednesdays. And what it is, it's a call-in show. It's calling for help, but calling for help about the personal and the business parts of life. So it can be anything from relationship issues, or it can be something for an emotional issue or some behavior that you're struggling with, or yes, relationship issues, that too. And then also things like business problems, leadership problems. Oh yeah, relationship issues too, and all that. But life has its challenges, and so we try to provide you with an answer that makes sense, that's practical and relates to reality. And also we try to go down to the deeper level of what could be driving all this, because why is one of the best questions you can ask yourself or me or anybody. We can get to the root. You don't want to just scotch tape your problems, guys. You want to go down and solve it forever. You want to have lifetime change. One of my favorite words in the whole world is transformation. And we'd love to see transformation. People say, okay, that going to the root there, digging it out. I don't have that relationship problem, emotional problem, attitude problem, energy problem, behavioral problem, work problem. That's what we're about. Yeah. So we're lining up the calls, and there's 2 ways you can do this. It's talking to me and hear your voice. We won't see you, but we'll hear. Point the wrong way. We'll hear you, see and hear me, and we'll do it that way. Or you can write in on any of the venues we're on: LinkedIn and YouTube Live and Twitter Live and Facebook. So, and I want to introduce our great producer Stacy to say hello and get us started.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Dr. Townsend Live Show today. If you're viewing the show, then you probably already have the phone number to call in. But if you don't, I will read it out for you. So grab your pen and paper. It is 1-877-853-5257. Again, that's 877-853-5257. Once you dial that number, you're going to enter a meeting ID code. Once the call is answered, that is 876-5437-2012. Again, the meeting ID code is 876-5437-2012. We're so glad that you're here with us today. And also, we are launching a new hashtag on Dr. Townsend's platform. All of you are here because you are a growth monster.
That needs some explaining.
Yes, and you will have the chance to do that. But if you have received
a little bit, because it sounds so weird, but I think it's kind of cool. Obviously, if you like my books and the approach that we use, you know that the whole thing's about growth. You can solve emotional, relational, business, and career problems, spiritual problems, if you're growing the right way. And Henry Cloud and I have written a ton of books about growth. And so a lot of people will say, I'm committed to growth. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to go read one chapter of one book once a year, and that's going to make me different. No, that's not a growth monster. It comes from a person who was serious about growth. Like when Jesus said in the Beatitudes, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, they shall be filled. And that's growth. And so we started kicking around that the idea of a person who's serious about growth is a growth monster. Now, monster in that word is, in that phrase, is not a negative. It means I'm serious. I'm going to put time and energy in this because I really want to be a different, transformed, healthier, happier person. So
exactly.
That's what we have.
That's where we're at.
Monster Stacy's a growth monster, so we want you to be growth monsters.
I am 100% a growth monster.
Maybe 110. You might be in the 110 range.
So if you have received help here on the Dr. Townsend Show, or you are calling in to get help today, and this has helped with you, please share it. Share it in your medias. Share the show information over to your medias, and feel free to add that hashtag growth monster in there. We would love that. Help us make that hashtag huge. Okay. We are going to go ahead and admit our first caller. So caller, if you can hear us, welcome to the Dr. Townsend Live Show. You are live with Dr. Townsend. Go ahead with your first name and tell us where you're calling from.
Yes, good afternoon. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good afternoon, Dr. Townsend. My name is Sarah from Mission Viejo, California. And I am calling.
Sorry, I didn't get your first name again. Could you say it again?
It's S-A-R-A. It's Sarah.
Hello, Sarah, and you're in California.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, welcome.
And Yes, the reason I'm calling, I am in a group that is like 12 session, and what happened in from the second group, after the second meeting, the group get closed. Like the new people cannot register, which I already know, and I have taken this class before. And what happened? But about like two people, they brought a guest, either from from one of their relatives. And what happened? I did email as a courtesy that I have a guest and my friend, and she's supporting me emotionally, and my son. Is it that I am coming with her? And I didn't receive any email back, and I put my phone. And then I go with my friend to the class, and when we were sitting nothing happened, and I was even say her name, and I was expecting even to get a name tag. I go, and the two instructors were talking. I waited 5 minutes, and then I just left and sit down quietly, because it kind of they didn't pay attention, and I didn't want to interrupt them, so I go and sit down. The class is about 2.5 hours. And after 1 and 15 minutes, the lady tell me come out, and I go out and say that your friend has to go to another class, and she is not even registering. She's my guest, and I said she's only my guest for today. She's my supporting me. No, she has to. Even a gentleman is coming to take her, and it was a very surprise. And I didn't want to disrupt the class. I keep it quiet. I said the class is almost over. This is the only time she came to support me, so she is not coming back. And she's not a new student. She is still insisting. And then we left, and very quietly, I didn't even tell my friend, because she would have been really hurt, and she came to support me. And the class was over, and we went home, and I emailed. I said that was not correct, because I already sent you an email. But then they said, oh, we tried to call you, but you didn't answer. My cell phone is not hanging to my neck. They could have leave a message. If someone leave a message and say, please don't bring guests, do you think I will take a guest? I will, for sure. I will say no problem.
Sarah,
And then I won't do that.
I'm going to need a question. I've got a lot of great information, but I need a question.
Yes.
What is your question?
Oh, okay. The question is that even I called the organization, they told me that, is it the right way? That is it's very bothering me, because these are the people that they are trying to support, and they are like an advocate against stigma.
It wasn't the right thing to do, right?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I agree with you. It sounds like they were kind of rude about
Yeah.
that. So,
and it is, because believe me, anxiety took over. Even I got dizzy, because I was afraid the guy was coming from distance, like a tall guy is coming to take my friend, and she's 75 years old, to go to another class. She's not a kindergarten, and she was not listening, and she ignored me. I told her hi, she didn't answer. And now afterwards, she says, no, the policy is this. I already called the organization, and I already knew and they said that, no, this is for the new students, if someone wants to go as a new student. And then another lady, I didn't want to compare, but there was other ladies that they brought twice a guest, and
Sarah,
if you drink, this is,
yeah. Running out of time here, so can you ask a question? Because I really want to help. But I just
okay. My question is that, do I follow up? I just ignore, or just continue with 4 more sessions, because it really is not right. What she did is wrong. What do I have to? I already, yeah. What should I do?
I've got 4 questions left in this course. Should I go knowing that they handle things in a bad way? And here's what I would do. It does sound like that they really blew it with you, Sarah. It sounds hurtful, and they weren't, the policy doesn't make sense. And it doesn't sound like they spent a lot of time informing you about the no visiting thing. But what I would do is I would sit there in my head and go, even though they were not appropriate with me, is the value to my life and my decisions and all those things, is the value to me worth more in these 4 sessions than the fact they did it wrong? And you may go, nope, it's not going to be that valuable. It's not good. Then you end it. But if you go, yeah, even though they weren't kind to me and they weren't appropriate, I might get so much out of those 4 sessions that I would go. And since you told me that you've been there before and it seemed to bring you good value, I would probably, you've done a great job in letting people know your protest and following up. You did a great job of that. I'd probably go because it's about your life and getting value. Okay, Sarah.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really hard when, something goes south and you think, well, should I hang in there or whatever? And there's always this level between in business, we call it risk versus reward. Her risk is, I'm around some people I don't feel comfortable as safe as I did with. Is reward, well, 4 sessions of some good stuff. You always have to balance things between risk and reward, not only in business and finances and projects, but in relationships as well.
Absolutely. This is true. That sounds hard. Okay. Next caller is up. Caller, you are live with Dr. Townsend. Go ahead and tell us where you're calling from and your first name. Caller, are you with us?
Hi. Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep. There you are.
Okay. Hi, this is Penny. I'm from upstate New York in a little town called Canandaigua.
Okay.
And my question relates to, I actually work in the transformation office of a large elevator company. And I'm being asked to start kind of pushing into one of our largest transformation projects as a change management lead.
I love that word, transformation. This is great.
I'd like to have an understanding of like how I negotiate. So right now I'm like a senior manager level, and I see people getting promoted around me, and then I see me being asked to, take this on. So what would be a recommendation of how to go about kind of the next steps, and also to set boundaries around, specifically what my role will be on the project would be helpful.
I think it'd be more helpful to answer one question. And I think the big question is getting you in the gate. And then that's another conversation about the right boundaries and clarity and all that.
Okay.
By the way, Penny, can you hear me okay? I'm getting some feedback that I might not be loud enough. Am I loud enough for you?
I can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? In the okay range?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right. First off, what attempts have you made to get the promotion? Have you done anything with the company to get a promotion? Conversations?
No.
Applications? Okay.
Nothing as of, the only thing I have done is I spoke with the functional lead in HR and just asked about kind of what the different levels are but I haven't actually done anything more than that.
Okay. So that was more getting information about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Why haven't you applied?
So it's not like a new position. So it's not like they're, changing my role and saying, okay, so I'm not sure. They're basically saying, okay, now we want you over here to work on this project.
Right. They're kind of making a lateral move and you still got the same basic responsibilities, except another project, right?
Right. So it's like expanding my role is what I would see it as.
All right. And did you say they are doing that, or they have not done it and you want them to do it?
So they just had the conversation with me today about it, asking if it's something I'd be interested in. And so I said, of course I'd be interested. I'd love to help. And then I thought to myself, I'm going to go call John Townsend.
Okay. So this is great. I mean, they see value in you. You must be, doing some good things right. So they made the proposal to you, which is great. When somebody wants you, that's good. So where would your conflict be when they're asking you? I kind of missed something, I guess, Penny, because I'm thinking, gosh, way to go, Penny. They ask you to do this. They must see some good things. So what's your conflict then?
So it's an expansion of my role. I feel like it's a higher level.
Right.
It's a very you know, I just feel like it's more responsibility, so I should get more money. There's my.
Well, I think that's very fair. Oh, so when they made their proposal to you, they didn't say you'll get a bump in pay.
No, and they didn't say we're going to promote you to, you know, a director level or anything. And I didn't ask for that at this
point. There are some companies that are so toxic that if you said, by the way, it's more responsibility and I love the idea, but it's going to ask more of me, so I need to get compensated more for that. There's a small percentage, unfortunately, they exist though, that would go, no, we don't like you, and that was arrogant of you to say that. But is your company basically a pretty decent company?
It seems like a very decent company, and I see other people get promoted. I think the last company I was at for 25 years was toxic. And I feel like when I
have some kind of trauma-ish stuff about their bad treatment from last time that's coming into this then.
Right. So in the past, I had asked at my other company, and I had really tried to, you know, advocate for myself, and I was never able to do it. So now I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I did it wrong.
or maybe they were just crazy and not good people. If you look at business as an entity that God made, you know, God made church and God made family and God made business and God made government. I mean, it's an entity he made. The way it works is that people expect they're good people to sooner or later say, when you say, I want more of you, sure, what's the compensation? It is an appropriate question. And if they do what the other group did, then they're toxic too, but it sounds like they're kind of different. I think you just got, you know, the old Southern phrase, once bitten, twice shy. I think you're a bit hesitant because of that. What I would do is I would have the conversation. If you like the job, you like the position, it sounds like you do, I would call them back tomorrow and say, really excited about this. I want to do a great job for you guys. Let's talk about the pay.
Okay.
So they can do three things.
Okay.
Yes, glad you asked, Penny. Or no, we don't have it right now. Do you want to work 3 months with us and 6 months and see how it sounds? And that's a whole different conversation. Or no, how dare you? And then you kind of go, I'm not sure I'm going to work with these people, but I think it'll be one. I hope it'll be one. That's what I would do.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You know, there's a Bible verse in James that says we do not have because we do not ask. And a lot of us have been trained by crazy relationships, crazy family situations that if I ask, bad things are going to happen. So it puts us in the role of what in the clinical world they call a passive rescue wish state. Passive rescue wish state. Meaning, I want a promotion, but I think I need to wait. I need to wait for them to offer. I want to date that guy, but I need him to to check me out. I want to I want to start a book club with somebody, but I need them to ask me. And it's an awful place because who's in control of my life when I've got passive rescue wishes? They are. And the universe just doesn't work that way. So do what the Bible says and don't ask crazy people things if they're certifiable. But people respond, reasonable people respond well to someone else because they can't read the mind. So passive rescue wish stances never work. They just make you wistful and longing, and it feels lonely and frustrated. And it's basically a no risk position. If I'm passively rescued wish, if I would keep waiting for somebody to rescue me or give me something that will read my mind, I'm sad, but I don't have to take risk. And it's just better to take some risk, and good things tend to happen.
This is true. Okay, John, your next caller is on the line. Caller, you are live with Dr. Townsend. Go ahead with your first name and tell us where you're calling from. Caller, are you with us? Okay, we will see if they would like to come back another time. Maybe some technical difficulties there. Okay. All right, you are live on the Dr. Townsend Live Show. Caller, go ahead with your name and tell us where you're calling from. We have silence today.
Oh, well.
We will go to the next. It happens. Sometimes the tech gremlins get after us. That's right. Welcome to the Dr. Townsend Live Show. You are live with Dr. Townsend. Go ahead with your right. Go ahead with your name and where you're calling from. Your first name only.
Oh, there's Atlanta. Hello.
We hear you.
Okay, my question. Yeah, I wrote it all down while I was waiting. I'm just going to go for it. I wrote, how can I get a step closer with my son? He's 23 in relationship when we haven't been able to talk about the huge issues and rift we had in our relationship for several years before he left home. He doesn't return phone calls unless I hound him or my text. I only see him on holidays. He lives close. He says he's really busy. It's more than the young adult and young man thing. There's a history of anger with him and I and vindictiveness. How can I make progress with each conversation we have? Being vulnerability or, I want to bring up past issues, but there's that wall there is the best way to explain it. And, just people always say one day it'll get better and one day, but how do I help make progress?
That let time pass and get better. I mean, that's like saying don't ever work out and it'll get better. And you're 89 years old and you got diabetes. I mean, this doesn't work. Time by itself is not the healer. I agree with you. Now, you know what? I got your location, but I didn't pick up your first name again. What was that?
It's Heather.
Heather. Okay. Hey, Heather. Really important question you're asking. And it comes up a lot. You've sort of been, I feel like you've sort of been semi-canceled.
You say what's been semi-canceled? I apologize.
What?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah, your description of your relationship with your son and how he'll only answer if you bug him a whole bunch and he's really busy, but he doesn't connect and doesn't want to talk about anything important. It seems to me like you've been semi-canceled by your son. You've heard of being canceled? Cancel culture?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Since he was 12, actually. That's when it all
feels like a semi. That's 13
yeah.
years, 13, 11 years. So it sounds like a semi-cancel, and I don't think the best thing to do is today be more vulnerable, today be whatever. Here's what I would recommend. I think you need to have a conversation about the relationship. Some people call it, have you ever heard the phrase DTR?
DTR, no.
D is in David, T is in Tom, R is in Robert. Ever heard that?
LTR. But I might have not heard you.
Okay. Maybe am I doing something
wrong?
I'm
sorry. It sounds like you're a little further away, like maybe on speaker.
Stacey,
but
should I try the AirPods? I feel bad for Heather.
Don't feel bad. I did. Can you speak up, Sonny,
At this
please?
point, hey,
that's my fault.
Hey, John, if you wanted to use the AirPods, we would have needed to have begun the show with the AirPods in. So just try not to sit back.
I'll just project from my diaphragm.
There you go.
Okay. Heather, I'm sorry about the trouble. DTR is what people who are dating, when they say, oh, I like this person, but now it's time to define the relationship. Define the relationship R. And I think you need to have some semblance of that conversation. And I have some steps about that. You ready to go?
Yes, I'm writing it down.
Yeah, this is a write down because it's an entire process that I've developed. So your son's not telling you the why. He's not telling why he's semi-canceling you. You just know that y'all didn't solve some big problems back then, and everything's under the rug, and he doesn't really like to be with you. But you don't know the why. So here's what you do. You have a phone call or Zoom or face-to-face with him, and it may take you some time. You may say, can I see you next Tuesday at 3:00? Well, I'm busy. Great. How about the Tuesday after that? But you have to be very persevering with somebody that's avoiding you. And then if they keep putting you off,
keep persevering. He'll do that consistently, but one day I'll get him.
More than that, it's more than just persevere. You can persevere until you're 89 with diabetes. That's not great. So persevere plus the following. I'm adding some ingredients to your recipe here. At some point, if he keeps blowing you off and won't meet with you, say, I'd like to get together with you. And I would send him an email or a text or whatever. If he will not do the two-way, one way then. Voicemail, text, email. And say the following. I miss our relationship, and you're important to me, and I miss that we can't really connect anymore. And so I would like to have a conversation with you, Zoom, phone, face to face, because I would like for you to tell me everything I might have done to alienate you. If I've done something to alienate you, I want to know it because I love you and I want to solve it. And what I'd like to do is for us to get together, and I'll bring my legal pad and my pen. We'll be at a park bench, or we'll be somewhere private or on the phone. And I want you to tell me everything that's holding you back from a relationship, but my personality or the way I behave with you or the way I've treated you. And I'm not going to justify myself. I'm not going to edit. I'm not going to say, well, you really misunderstood my intention there. I'm not going to be defensive at all, Junior. I'm going to listen because I'll do anything.
He's passive aggressive, right? How do you have? Sorry,
Well,
how do you?
Let me
he
finish.
says everything's fine.
Heather,
Okay.
let me finish.
Sorry, go ahead, doctor.
And then I'm not going to edit. I'm just going to listen and write. And then when you finish, then I will take that list and I will change everything that's really true in a problem. And I'll come back and I'll make it right with you. Are you willing to do that? Now, that's the system.
Okay.
So that's what I would do. And see
That's a pretty, wow, that's pretty well constructed. You know, how can someone say no? But maybe he needs more time to think about it. I mean, because if I don't tell him, we're going to meet, so you're going to tell me everything I did wrong in the relationship. For somebody who's been completely passive aggressive, more so angry back in the days and vindictive, but how is he going to just say the things? You know, even if it's one thing, is there a way to soften the touch or the you know, communication to make it so
What's
you know, so
hard
this
about-
young man is okay to speak?
When you say soften it, I think for somebody, I mean, how many times in a lifetime does somebody say, tell me all the ways I've hurt you? That doesn't feel like anything hard. That feels like you won the lottery. When people feel it, finally say, I'll give you an hour to tell me everything you did. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. And then when he was a teenager, he probably would like go for it. And like, but now I just feel like he's like, you know, I've moved on. And like, I don't want to get into the weeds of these emotions. Like, you know, that I'm just thinking, and maybe it's my fear.
I got you. All right. Do you want to, I think this is ripe for a role play. You know what a role play is, Heather?
Yeah, we can role play.
All right. So
give it a shot.
And so I'll call him Timothy. So I'm going to make the proposal, and then you do all of his passive aggressive stuff and we'll solve it. You ready to go?
Okay, I'm ready.
So Timothy, I just miss you and I want to have a conversation with, a serious one, because I really care about our relationship and I want to find out what I've done wrong. And so, yeah, I'd like to meet with you, and all I want you to do is tell me the ways that I might have hurt you or alienated you in the past, distanced you, so that if I fix these things, that maybe we'll have a relationship. I would love to do that. And I won't interrupt you. I won't be defensive. Would you be willing to do something like that?
I don't know. I really haven't given it much thought.
Sure.
Kind of water under the bridge now. Not really sure what I think or feel about any of that. A long time ago.
Okay, that makes sense. It has been a long time, but we used to talk. Sometimes hard talking, sometimes good talking. We used to communicate, and now there's very little. And I kind of suspect it's not just that you're busy, because people have time. So something has changed, and I don't know if this is true, but I think it's not just that you can't remember those things. We've got some unresolved stuff that I want to do my part with. So I don't think it's nothing, Timothy. That makes sense?
Yeah, Mom, I understand. I just I'm so busy. It's hard to come up with some things to think about. I really just, you know, I enjoy the time that we do have together. You know, we did talk on the phone not that long ago, and you know, I told you, between my girlfriend and my military work and my job, I just don't have any time. And
okay.
yeah, so
All right. So make sure I hear you, Timothy. Then you do care about a relationship, but life is, all the other priorities have taken over. So the amount of time we currently spend together, when you call like every 2 months for 15 minutes, I need to realize that's all there is, and I need to be happy for that. Am I hearing you right?
Yeah, Mom, that's the way it is right now. I
Okay.
wish I could do more, but we sought help, we got help, and things are fine.
Okay,
But
great. Well,
I don't really know what he's gonna say, but
but you
that's
know,
probably all I got.
you know him better than I do, so that's what we got to work with. So then I would say, okay, if you ever change your mind and you'd like to either work out the past, and I'm willing to do that, or if you'd like to spend a healthier, more loving time together, let me know. I'm certainly sad about it, but I know you're a busy guy. So whenever you call, I will be happy to talk to you. Boom. That's what we've got.
Okay.
I mean, Heather, that's what we've got. He clearly, if you pushed any harder, you probably wouldn't hear from him but once every 2 years. So be nice about it. He set a limit. You got to do your grieving and accept it, and that there is something, and maybe in the future, as he gets older, the more mature, he might go, it did hurt what happened, and it's not gone. He's buried it under some repressive blanket. Sometimes those things pop up, and they want to work on it. So be patient about that, but accept his limits right now.
But extend the invitation. Yeah, that's good, Dr. Townsend. Thank you so much.
Good to talk to you. Take care. Well,
That is tough.
it reminds me of that Bible verse where Jesus was going through the Mount of Olives, and it said in his procession, and he said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, I wish I could have put you under my wing like a hen does her chicks, but you would not. And what he's saying is, I'm willing to go more than halfway here. Under my wing is more than halfway in the relationship. I'm not going 50%. I'm willing to do a lot, but if you're stiff arming me, I'm not going to force it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we have to do that in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I pushed as hard as I thought that Heather could push without being pushy.
Right.
Sometimes you have to accept somebody's no and live with it.
It must be the parent day.
You don't live with abuse. You don't live with trauma. You don't live with gaslighting. You have to protect them. But when you want more of a relationship and somebody says not interested, and you've done the things I said in the little recipe, you got to let them walk, and maybe they change their mind some other day. Or if they don't ever change their mind, where are you going to go to substitute that person? Mm-hmm. Where are you going to go to your life team and say, Timothy doesn't want me, but I want somebody that wants more time. And all through life, we're substituting relationships. So people die, people move, people get sick, people get crazy. So never, never, never put all of your eggs in one relational basket, certainly vertically with God, but horizontally, make sure they've got other people that can support you and know you and want you if somebody walks away from you. Hey, by the way, we teach a lot of this stuff here at what is called the Townsend Institute for Leadership and Counseling, partnered with Concordia University in Irvine, California. And if this is your time for a new career that you're going to do part-time, we're fully accredited, fully online, but we might be for you. If you're ready for your 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, you can get a credential or a bachelor, get it mixed up, a credential, a master's or a PhD in counseling with the approaches that we teach. And you can get a credential or a master's in organizational leadership if you want to run an organization, or you get a credential or a master's in executive coaching consulting, very, very quickly growing field. We also have a bachelor's in organizational psychology if you never had the chance to get that. But our graduates are getting great grades. We have hundreds and hundreds of students around the country, and they're getting wonderful jobs. And we're highly relational, just like this show is, but we also teach the strategic, technical things you need to know. So, Stacey, I don't know when the next information session is where I blab about it.
I believe it's on the 13th. It also went out today in your e-blast, but we will drop a link for it in the comments.
That and just say, hey, I want to hear about it. You'll just be one of a bunch of people around the world that are interested, and I'll talk about the Institute personally, and then we'll have our top faculty answer all your questions. So if this is your time, we'd love to be there for you.
Okay. John, your next question, it must be Parent Day, because your next question comes from a man over on your Instagram, and he says to keep his identity private. He he's not going to give out his real handle. So he said, I'm going to call my name John too. So John is experiencing with his 20-year-old daughter that she has distanced herself since going away to college from them. She has also, they recently learned that she has dropped out of college. She has their credit cards and their vehicle and hasn't spoken to the family in over 6 months. He says there's been no communication. Only through friends and family member or distant family members do we find out that she's actually alive and breathing. There are responsibilities that she is supposed to be taking care of that she does not, but yet has a vehicle in our name and our credit cards. At what point do we draw the hard line to say either report the vehicle stolen or cut off the credit cards for no access to funds? We don't want to put her in danger, but we need her to contact us.
I'm really sorry to hear that, John. That's just such a helpless feeling when a parent, when an adult child bails and you have no reason why, and that's just scary. What I think, colleges don't give you any information anymore either because of, federal privacy laws. And so you have no leverage. So if the factor here is the 6 months, that's a long time for somebody to have dropped out and doesn't answer anything. First thing I would do, I would probably check the credit cards and make sure that she's still using them. If she hasn't, she hasn't used them, I'd probably send her an email and say, are you there? Because if you don't answer, I'm going to put out a missing persons. That would scare me. If she has used them, hopefully that she has used them and she's used the car and that you know that. Then I would just send her a nice non-judgy email to say, we tried many times and you understand that. Sorry that you're feeling disenfranchised from us in some way, but I'll probably do this right now, Juan. But if we don't get a response from you in 24 hours, or we're going to have a conversation about how your life is and are you okay and what do we do about college and the money, we'll start cutting things off. That's where I would go. First, check to see if the credit cards and the car are being used. I pray that there is usage there, but if not, 24 hours. She can text you.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, your next caller is live. Caller, you are live on the Dr. Townsend Live Show. Go ahead and tell us your first name and where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Charles, and I'm calling from New London, Connecticut.
Hi, Charles. So, what's your question today?
Hello?
Can you hear me, Charles?
Hey, how's it going, John?
Good. So, I've got you on the line with us, and what's your question?
Hi, I'm calling because I kind of got, I don't want to say a disagreement with my pastor. I have a difference in and we kind of got in like a disagreement. It got pretty heated. He's on the thought process where that if you step into a volunteership role, that you stay in it until you're able to train someone up if you need to leave. And I let him know that since we're such a small church, I don't think that's necessarily realistic. And I don't think that, I think it's kind of controlling if you ask people if they can take your position, but since there's not enough volunteers, they don't want to, that everyone should have the right to leave if they want. And that him expecting people to stay there forever can cause burnout. And he disagreed. And I don't really know how to explain that to him, like biblically, that I think that he's burning out himself and he's burning out the other volunteers because it's not allowing us to, leave when we need to leave or feel we need to.
So your concern with him is that he says you've got to stay in the position until you have trained your successor, and then when that successor is trained, you can leave. Is that the issue?
Yeah, and I understand that, but it's kind of unrealistic when you ask multiple times, hey, can someone step up? I don't have the time to do this. It's all volunteer. It's not full-time ministry, And so to require volunteers to do that, I said that if word gets around that that's what you expect, we're not going to have any volunteers because people are going to feel stuck and feel like they can't leave, and they're going to feel like shamed and condemned. But I don't know. He disagrees with me, and he thinks that his way is biblical. And I don't want to say it's not biblical, but I just don't feel that. I don't feel like Jesus would lock people in like that.
No, I'm always very interested when someone says that something is biblical, because then my first question obviously is, I'm a Bible guy, is great. What passage are we talking about? So we can look at the Bible together. What passage did he quote to you or refer you to? I'll write it down.
He didn't.
Oh. Okay. Well, missed opportunity to find out what he thought. A lot of people throw that out. And you say, what verse? And they go, I don't know. It's in there somewhere in Hezekiah. And you go, well, I don't know. Charles, let me take you through what I think is going on. I think that you had some inappropriateness, honestly, buddy, in the way you addressed him, because I don't see it as a controlling thing. What I see it is a model of sustaining volunteering. I don't think it's a great idea. I mean, I don't think most churches don't do that, but I don't see it as controlling. And I think you probably triggered him a bit when you call it controlling. I think I would have preferred you to say, I don't see it that way. That doesn't seem the best to me. But you're the boss, you're the pastor. So you could have, when you said it got heated, I can see why you might get heated, because all of a sudden, I'm not a control freak. So I think what I would say would be, if you're out and you're done with the volunteer thing, well, I get it. I mean, I can see why you do that. But because a person has an idea that you don't like, don't assume character issues like being controlling. And I thought, and now here's what I'm gonna give you a star. That was kind of the negative. Here's the star. I thought you did a great job of explaining why it's a bad idea. You said, well, we're small anyway, and who knows, if we have this kind of structure, we're going to discourage too many people, won't have anybody. I thought, Charles, you did a great job there. So I think you've explained it well. You see the part where I kind of pushed back on you on it. So I would say, I would, if you have another conversation, I would say with him, hey, sorry, I kind of called you controlling. I made some assumptions about your character. That was yucky. But but Pastor, I still want to volunteer. Do you have are you open? I would say it this way. Are you open to another way of looking at this? Because I'd like to volunteer, but I don't have time to train somebody else. Just want to know, because I'm a team player with you. He goes, no, I'm standing by that. God bless you. Then you don't volunteer. That's where I would go with that. But I would also say, what was that Bible verse about why the model of sustaining is, I'd be very curious about that. And then say to him, I was thinking about Galatians 5, where it says that for freedom Christ died to make us free. And I felt like that your model, I get your intent, Pastor, but it takes away some freedoms for the people who don't have that kind of time. And I would leave it at that. So I would like
Galatians 5,
because I think he needs a guy like you to give him the skinny on why his model is not great, but I would take away the outing.
Yeah, I know. I think it's, I think that's, the way he's done ministry. And I think me kind of like bucking against that, it's kind of caused frustration on him. Because I started
there's bucking and there's bucking, sometimes, pastors, I have a lot of pastors I work with, and sometimes they get a lot of people who are willing to tell them, change the church pews and change the music, and the worship center sucks and you're not doing evangelism right. And they got a lot of people who say don't do it right, and they're not willing to volunteer. You're volunteering. You're in that, but I can see that he would kind of trigger, like, here's one more complaint I've got. So be nice to him, but tell him you'll be there if there's another way of doing that. Okay, thank you for the call.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. It's true.
It is.
Pastors just get beat up, and sometimes they got the wrong approach. But if you have a church, you're not happy with everything, I always tell people, before you write that email, that text that says what they're bad at, be sure you're doing something to help that church. And if you're not, you really don't deserve to complain to it. You're volunteering, you get $6 you're doing something. But people sitting on their butts criticizing, I don't have any patience for it.
Rightfully so.
Right.
Okay, John, you have a question from one of your Twitter followers. Her name is Nicole, and she says, how can I know if I am helping or enabling someone in my life? Example, they do not put away their laundry for over a month and then ask me to do it after saying they can never get around to it.
Gosh, that's such a hard question.
First of all, I can't imagine what a month's worth of laundry piled up looks like. It's giving me anxiety just thinking about it.
Something's creating life in some room, right? Well, Nicole, you gave a good dramatic example. That's helpful. That's how far things go. I'm going to give you, I got a book coming out on this. I got to write this book because everybody's asking. The whole thing is, how do I know when I'm helping or supporting someone? And how do I know when I'm enabling? Because that's the whole question. We all want to be loving people and help people feel better in life and support them. But how do we know when we're crossing the line into enabling? So here's 5 things. I don't have my text in front of me, but I think I can do it. This is what I would call a grid, an enabling grid. So you can kind of take your question about this lazy person who won't do her laundry or his laundry. And you can take that situation through the grid. And at the end of it, you'll go, oh, that's just supporting. Or that's, nope, I'm enabling. It just kind of helps people think about that. Ready to go? The first one is it a cannot or a will not? In other words, is it something they truly can't do? I'm too busy. Well, she can change busy, right? I mean, be like saying, I don't want to go to work because I'm too busy. I mean, so that sounds like a will not to me, where it's just more inconvenient. So I don't see a good score on that. I'm not going to score it for you. It's your life, Nicole, but I'm kind of using your example as a template for this. So first, is it a cannot or will not? The second one is, do I have what is being required? Do I have it? Most people are asking for us boundary busters. That's what Henry Cloud and I used to call them back in starting all this stuff. Who's the boundary busters in your life? They tend to ask for our time, our energy, our focus, or our resource. It's kind of all we have in life. Our time, our energy, our focus, our attention, right? And our resource. Maybe our money, maybe our car, maybe our whatever. Do you have what's being offered? And so, Nicole, you got this, you probably got a busy life. And so now once a month, there's this, what did you say, Stacy? Like scary lump. What'd you call her, something?
What?
You said something about how that would be kind of disturbing for you to see a pile.
Oh, yes. It's like, it just gives me anxiety thinking about a month worth of
anxiety attack, Nicole, so she really agrees with you. So do I have the time and energy? And if you do, well, that's one for 4. Okay, so first I'm thinking, maybe not. Second, I'm thinking, well, you could. The third one is, do they have skin in the game? It's like when somebody says, can you front me some money, whatever, then you say, well, can you put up 20% of it? Or can you take care of the kids? I mean, we ought to be giving people, when somebody asks us for time, money, focus, sometimes it's just a gift, and sometimes it's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Because people value what they have skin in. And so I don't know, you can't say, well, can you do the shirts? That's not really good. So that might be a non-applicable. Or it might be she's not doing anything. The fourth one, is what do I feel emotionally? 2 Corinthians talks about this in chapter 8. It says, God loves a cheerful giver. And it says, don't do anything grudgingly or out of compulsion. And grudging is a feeling like, I'm really resentful of this, I didn't take advantage of it. I'm going to do everything around here. And my feelings are telling me something. Or compulsive, like I've got to do this so they'll be happy with me and won't be mad at me. So if you're not doing out of a cheerful heart, like the Bible says, emotionally, if the emotions aren't, I can't wait to do her laundry. I mean, I love her so much and she is busy. That's the smallest thing I can do to do her laundry. Maybe you should. But if it's resentment and compulsive feelings, not good. And the fifth one is, it's about the outcome. What is the outcome of this if you do it? You see, most of the time when the that things are going right, and you give your time, energy, money. A person has two outcomes. One is that they are more autonomous, and the second, they're more grateful. They are functioning at a higher level. I mean, you give to a developing country town, and you help them have water, and they say, we have water now. We are more autonomous. We're not as needy. We don't have to write out letters of dependency because you did that. Thank you. And they're great. Better autonomy, moving on in their life, and more gratitude. The other one is more dependency and entitled. Not good. Instead of autonomy, dependency, and instead of gratitude, entitlement. You were 10 minutes late doing my laundry this week. What's up with you? You kind of know where I'm landing with this, Nicole, just from what you told us. But use that as a grid, not only for this gal or guy or whoever it is, but for future people. Use the grid. Hope that helps.
That's good. I like that. Good points. I actually took those notes myself. So
I
thanks.
need to write it because everybody always says, how do I know the line? And one day.
Nice. Okay, John, your next question comes from someone named Patrick, and he is in South Carolina. And he says, Dr. Townsend, over the last several years, I've learned a lot from your boundaries books. One theme that keeps coming up in my life is gaslighting. I'm a counselor myself, but for privacy purposes, I'll keep that out of this context. I'm having a hard time with clients who are blurring the lines between gaslighting and, as your e-blast yesterday I received said, hurt versus harm in a relationship. Can you give a brief description of true gaslighting that is not a ha-ha, someone's joking around and I'm the butt of the jokes?
Okay, Stacey, help me a bit. Is he, as a counselor, is he saying that his clients are doing the gaslighting or they are receiving the gaslighting?
Receiving it.
Okay, and so he wants to help them to know when it's a bad thing or it's just a joke, yeah?
Exactly. He's looking for some hard examples. And kind of gave a photo picture too. Like some people are kind of blurring the lines in the counseling industry or realm right now to say that, oh, if someone is constantly making you the butt of the joke at the party, but then they go, oh, just joking, that is what gaslighting is.
Yeah, it could be. I have a definition, Patrick, and we can fit in specific examples underneath that. Gaslighting is a tactic of blaming someone for some act that they didn't do, some negative act, blaming someone for some negative act that they did not do, and making them feel crazy or irrational or not mentally competent. So they question themselves, and the end goal of the gaslighting is to control. So let me go back. It's like five things that I'm thinking about it. It's a tactic of blaming someone for something negative that they did not do, and then making them feel crazy or rational or irrational, as if maybe you need to question, maybe you did do it. And the end goal of that is a means of control. And what I meant by the control piece is that if you can make somebody question, then you can blame them all the time. There you go again. Well, I just said that the hamburger was overcooked. Well, you're the crazy one. I am? Yeah, you're the crazy one. Okay. And it's a way to get people to do what you want in a marriage, in a dating relationship, in a parent-child relationship, in a child-parent relationship, in business. So that's why I said the example that you put of, kind of being mean and humiliating somebody at a party as a pattern, and then saying I was just joking. Yeah, the I was just joking says that your feeling of being hurt and ridiculed is irrational. I just made you crazy, so I can do this as many times as I want. So use that definition with your clients. I think it'll help clarify things.
Okay, perfect. John, you have a caller from Facebook. She was calling in earlier, and she heard us trying to connect her, but she couldn't get connected on her end. She said, my question is simple. Ever since the pandemic, I have been finding myself more overwhelmed, more stressed, more anxiety, lack of hope, and just kind of everything that I have to do seems like a huge task, even if it's just walking to the mailbox. I'm not generally a depressed or anxious person. I don't want to enter into antidepressants if at all possible. I know it works for some people, but I don't want to go that route. Is there anything I can do to get hope and zeal for life back again?
Did she leave a name? First name?
Julie.
Julie, I'm really sorry to hear that. COVID did a number on everybody, and we are slowly pulling out, but I'm so sorry it happened. I'm going to give you sort of some steps, and probably the last steps would be medication, but there's a ton of steps you get before that. Back when COVID hit, I did a series for the Institute and Leadership, Townsend Leadership Program, a bunch of things to do about it, like what now? And when I had researched that, the number one thing I found that helps people pull out of it is what I call the 2 S's. S like Sam. It's called support and structure. Support and structure. And a lot of times when people feel, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressful, I'm anxiety, I got hopelessness. Those are all kind of classic COVID things that are having an effect on you. Is the first and the least intense plan I would tell you. I've got 3 more, but this one means, number one, beef up your structure. Beef up your support. That means have friends, but have a life team too. Have people that you can really open up to, that you can be vulnerable with, that aren't going to try to solve your problems, give you advice, but they're just there with you. They are attuned to you. They go into the well of hurt with you, and they listen to you. Beef that up. Maybe do 2 or 3 times as many conversations, vulnerable conversations, not just with God, not just with your spouse or a boyfriend, and not just with your Labrador Retriever Max, because we all go to those 3, but just like maybe 3 people. It's in my book, People Fuel. Beef up and don't worry about feeling needy. We're all a little needy these days. So beef up your structure, your support, because you need the relational nutrients to bolster you. Secondly, more structure. A lot of times people will find that they kind of work at home now and they don't have energy because they just walk in the walls, and then they eat bonbons and have Cabernet at 3 a.m. watching Netflix. The bad structure. So give yourself a reasonable structure. Get up, work out, have your devotionals, have a good breakfast, that sort of thing. That's the least intensive. Now you do that for a couple of weeks. If that doesn't work, next thing you do, and by the way, I'm assuming when I said that the spiritual disciplines as well, because I believe that they are very good. Prayer and go to church and read your Bible and all those good things. All the structures and support there. The next thing is, if that's not working, I would probably, I'm not sure how long it's been like this for you, but if that isn't working out and you've beefed up both of those, frankly, I would probably go see a psychologist or a licensed therapist. Now, your brain went straight to medication, right? And people do that all the time, especially Christians. They'll say, I want to use my friend as a counselor, my friend as a mentor, because I don't want meds. I'm like, whoa, there's something in between that called talk therapy with a great Christian therapist, where you don't need the meds. The meds are for if nothing else is working. So let's skip over that and just say, well, the talk thing doesn't do anything. It does a lot. 90% of everything I've done in everybody I've ever seen was primarily the talk therapy. Get somebody good who goes deep, finds the roots. I don't know, maybe you've got to grieve over something, or maybe you got to set some limits, or maybe you got to do some family of origin work. Who knows? But don't forget the talk therapy. It is so helpful. And then a lot of times, if it's still not getting better, because maybe you've got a depression that's more intractable, then the therapist will say, you got to stay with the talk therapy. You get somewhere here. This is so far so good, Julie, but I'm going to ask you to go see this psychiatrist that I like, who can give you the right medication, and you'll get off of it when you're done, because the talk therapy should kick in, but your brain can't hear it right now. So that's kind of the path.
Got it. Some people are asking if we would post this information on your media. So with your permission, I'll make sure that happens. And then also,
we post our little show on the media anyway.
The show is here. They're just wanting to keep these notes, I guess, without having to go back and see what.
You mean your notes?
Yeah, the minute marker. So I just kind of took notes on everything you just said.
You take good notes. I don't know that you do you?
I'll say it exactly as you do. And then also what you said about the series that you did, and I know we have to go, but everybody listening, if you go to John's Facebook page and go to the video section on his Facebook page, the video tab, and scroll way back, you'll see where he actually did a Tools for Living in Crisis series.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is, yep, we started that right at the beginning of the shutdown, and a super helpful information there.
Hey, let's tell them about what I'm doing this Sunday at Mariners Church.
Oh, yes, you've got the platform. Go ahead with it.
I'm speaking at Mariners Church, is where I go in Irvine, California. And we're having a Mariners mental health workshop. We're dealing with mental health issues. They asked me to speak at 1 o'clock on getting the key to when you're, I was gonna say key to being messed up, but it's not about messing up. The key basically of being overwhelmed. And if everybody's overwhelmed these days, I'm gonna be talking about some keys to that. And so 1 o'clock on, and we're hoping to get a ton of people there. We'll be talking at 1 o'clock to, it looks like 2 o'clock on Sunday. Love to see you there if you're in the SoCal area.
Okay, sounds great, John. And we will be back live next week, same time, same number. And you will receive reminders if you are subscribed to John's e-blast. If not, go over to drtownsend.com and subscribe to his e-blast, and then you'll receive all the helpful notifications. We'll see you next week.